Hi, it's Chatty Abby and Jeremy, and we're here today to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yep. And before we get started, I know in a lot of our videos we put a spoiler warning, and that's sort of just like standard procedure, but really, for this movie, do not watch this video unless you've seen the movie. There's just such richness you'll get out of the movie without being spoiled.
I like to know what's going to happen in movies, so I'm not too worried about spoilers, but there are some exceptions, and I would agree with Jeremy that this is an exception. You should definitely just take our word for it, go watch the movie, and then get into all the reviews after you've seen it at least once. Okay, we wanted to talk about Tom Holland's story through this one. I keep calling him Tom because there's so many Peter Parkers in the story, so I feel like Tom just like represents, like, you know who I'm talking about. So this one picks up directly after Spider-Man Far From Home. So everybody knows who he is. His secret identity's been revealed. Half of everybody believes that he's a villain who killed Mysterio. And half of everybody else is like, no, he's good, he's great. So it's just like there's a ton of tension over all of that. And he just now got his brand new girlfriend, and they're applying for colleges, and they're going into their senior year, and it's like a whole thing. And he decides to go back to public school.
Not the best plan. Just really not.
If Tom was my kid, I would have kept him home and homeschooled him and been like, because one, they have to move because they have like bricks going through their window. Oh, can we mention just like the Daredevil cameo real quick? It's like, well, so the very beginning is so tense with being arrested and having to seek out lawyers, which is Daredevil, and then bricks going through the window, which Daredevil catches. I thought he was going to be in the movie a little bit more, having him appear so soon and it being a whole lawyer thing, but then the narrative switches so quickly into like, once Doctor Strange gets involved, that you never see him again, and that all kind of makes sense. But I did think that maybe there'd be more with him, so that's cool. But
I think as short as he was in the movie was actually really significant, because the fact that it is Charlie Cox, this is Daredevil, in this movie makes me wonder, so are they now acknowledging the Marvel Netflix series?
These questions are vital ones.
Because I felt like a lot of those series sort of ended when their stories weren't done, just because Netflix no longer had the rights to those Marvel characters anymore. And, you know, I understand why those shows aren't on Disney Plus. They're very brutal, very dark shows. They don't really mesh with the rest of what's on Disney Plus. But, you know, maybe they should be on Hulu, because I know Disney owns Hulu as well, so.
they do?
Yeah.
Jeez, they own everything.
So I figured they'd at least be there, because I know in the shows they sort of act like they're part of the MCU, but the MCU doesn't really seem to acknowledge them.
I was trying to pull my mother out from the rubble, watching her bleed to death, while all around me, you people were raining down hell.
So go after the big green guy at the flag waver. I wasn't even there.
So this is the first time I've really seen the rest of the MCU acknowledging these shows that were very widely popular.
Which means a lot of things, because there's a lot of shows.
Yeah. So does that mean Luke Cage is coming back? Does that mean Jessica Jones is coming back? Does that mean, forget what her character's name was in the shows, but the Night Nurse, basically? She never officially called herself Night Nurse, but that's basically who she was. It also makes me wonder, are they going to bring back Iron Fist, considering how much everybody hated Iron Fist? Who knows? There's just so many implications for this.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I really loved going into depth on how much it ruined his life for everybody to find out. They knew where he lived. He had to abandon his home. He was like in trouble with the law. And then they really cap it all off when he tries to go back to school. Because like I said, having bricks go through my window and police investigating my family, I would not be sending that kid back to public school. I mean, he's really smart anyway. Like, you know, just keep him home, do something different, try to fix what's going on. I don't feel like Aunt May is terribly proactive in helping in this part. I don't know how much she would have, but I feel like in that situation, I would have at least been trying to talk about it, trying to like come up with some solutions and, you know, at least solutions to your current life of like maybe not go to public school. Because having Tom Holland show up at that school was very Little Rock 9.
Yeah.
Was very Little Rock 9-esque. Like when I was watching them go into that school, I was like, oh, that reminds me so much of pictures I saw in this little book I read when I was younger of these kids going to school and everybody being so angry about it. It's just so tense. They really captured that really well in a very short moment, because they don't really reference that again, and the next thing you see is they're hiding on the roof and they don't really go back into any of that. But it definitely makes you really feel for Tom, because you're like, ooh, everything is ruined. He did the right thing. He stopped a big villain. He when he didn't even want to be in the middle of all of this, and he did the right thing and sacrificed so much, and now here he is still having it ruin his life, which also makes a lot of sense into why he's reaching out for help to anybody he has left, which would be Doctor Strange, who then ends up screwing everything up worse.
And I feel like if it was just his life that was getting destroyed, he wouldn't have minded too much. I think what really gets to him is the fact that it's messing up Ned and MJ's lives too.
Because Ned and MJ were walking into school with him.
Mm-hmm.
And now all the schools then there's articles being printed about how MJ is being spider controlled to date him, and he's her spider master, and that's one of his powers. So she's receiving a lot just for being with him. And then Ned's his best friend, and they're both getting investigated by the police. They both lose out on being acceptable to colleges, because the colleges just like don't want to deal with that. What else do they kind of suffer?
They sort of imply that any aspect of life that they want to engage in is going to be tainted by Peter being Spider-Man.
Yeah, and like it just can't ever be normal again. And his big desire and big dream in this movie is that him and his friends go to the same college and that they live in the same dorm. That's all he wants. And then Doctor Strange screws it up for him and releases the multiverse, and Peter has to clean it up. So anyway, so that I really felt through him through that beginning part. And in the middle of all of that, and helicopter, like him having to rescue his girlfriend from an angry mob and then escape to his house, and then he's closing all the blinds, and I love that he's running around in his underwear and he's taking off his suit, and he gets splattered with green paint, and he's doing his blinds. He's so concerned about Happy's feelings in the middle of all of that, because Happy's very upset because him and May are breaking up. And he's like, I want to talk about your guys' relationship. Why are you breaking up? What's going on? I thought that was so sweet. I think that just shows so much maturity, and he's just such a great guy. To be so caring in the middle of his own drama, to be so concerned about his aunt and his friend. So I thought that was really cute. Mm. And I think him and MJ dating together are super cute. And I think him and Ned are super sweet. I can't rave about it enough. So I think that's what I felt like about the intro. Did you have anything to add?
I don't think so. Yeah, a lot of the things I really liked were more towards the middle with the decisions that he's making. Because in this movie, once again, Doctor Strange wants to just send all these villains that he's scattered into their dimension back to their face, you know?
Yeah.
Their decisions are their decisions. Has got nothing to do with me. I don't want to get involved. I just need to try to clean up my mess.
Before it gets found out that I did this. The very next dilemma is he going to take Strange's advice and just like get rid of this problem that's not his problem? Or is he going to take Aunt May's advice, who gets involved because she meets the Green Goblin? Or she doesn't meet the Green Goblin, she meets his other personality.
No, Norman Osborn.
She meets Norman Osborn, and she's like, you have to help these people. They're hurting. That's our job. That's what we do. So he's got Aunt May and Doctor Strange, and he has to decide who to listen to. And Doctor Strange would be way easier and way less painful. And just, yeah, that would have worked.
More proof that Doctor Strange is the villain. Aunt May is the angel on his shoulder. Doctor Strange is the devil on the shoulder.
Listen up, big guy. I got 3 good reasons why you should just walk away. Number 1, look at that guy. He's got that sissy stringy music thing.
We've been through this. It's a harp.
Hey, Peter. These people don't mean anything to you. Just send them back. Who cares if they die?
So he has to battle his now advisor, the only one he has left because Tony's gone. So he has Happy, which he didn't even think to go to Happy. So I don't think he really...
Well, Happy can't do anything to help him.
Happy might have been able to tell him to go call the advisor.
Yeah, that's true.
So he goes to Doctor Strange and he does that. And then I love the moment when he goes and talks to the recruiting agent and wins her over completely and has that battle. And then, so now he's dealing with Doctor Strange, Aunt May dilemma. And he ends up going with Aunt May's route, which I just really admire him for it. And it makes a lot of sense, because Norman is very sweet. Oh, that character. Because when he's being Norman, you just feel for him.
Somebody there?
Somebody. Who said that?
And he's just so scary when he's the Green Goblin. But we'll get to him in a different video. So he decides to do the right thing, which I think the right thing might have been leaving them in their cages and then trying to cure them one by one instead of taking all of them home with him to Happy's house. That might have been a little bit better of a plan, but as we have established, the 17-year-old that is this Peter Parker is not the best planner. He's genius level, he's got great strategies, great things, but he doesn't think through every decision. So I do think it was wise that he was like, oh, this is going to be dangerous. So he sends MJ far away from it. Because he's like, I don't want you to get hurt. You take the box and you go and hide with Ned. And I'm going to take these guys. I'm going to try to cure them. Again, he could have just taken one at a time. There's other things that could have happened here. But instead, Aunt May and him and a house full of villains all working together on projects to heal the crazy scientists.
Yeah.
Which is just hilarious. And Aunt May offering people water. And do you want salt water?
Because you're an octopus?
Because you're an octopus?
I'm not
What?
actually an octopus. Just so you know. I'm a person.
Oh, okay.
These aren't actual human arms. These are metal arms. I'm not an octopus.
Okay, so fresh then. So all of that, super fun, super endearing. I love Aunt May, love Peter through this moment. And then we get into it all going bad, which I love that he's like, and they had the Spidey sense again. And he's like, okay, what's going wrong? He's got a house full of villains, so it could be anybody. And then he's like, Aunt May, maybe you should run. And then it turns out to be that the Green Goblin is back, who is so scary. I found him so scary when I was a kid, and I think that's all still there because he did that face and I'm like, anyway. And then knowing Aunt May was in the building, that's when I was like, is this Peter's origin story? Is Aunt May gonna die now? And I literally asked you that out loud, didn't I? And you were like, no.
Yeah, I was like, maybe. No.
So they
But
get
maybe.
they get in there, and so she's escaped, and you're like, okay, maybe it's fine. But then they're all down in the lobby, and you have the Green Goblin, her, and him, and I was like, they're gonna kill Aunt May. I can't handle this. And they go through that. He throws the bomb. Peter does everything he can. Aunt May stands back up and is checking on Peter, and I was like, oh, they didn't kill Aunt May. They just scared me half to death. They didn't really kill her. And then she falls back down. And they did. They killed her. And it was It's like I saw it coming and then I didn't and then I did. It's like they kept switching things on me. As soon as I like know what's gonna happen, they change it up just enough to get me all confused and then do it anyway. And she was gone, and oh my goodness, she did such a great job dying. And she did the line.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Such a beautiful thing. And Tom acted that so well. Ah, such a deep moment. I think that's my favorite origin story that I've seen of a Spider-Man. I think it was so impactful because I've gotten to know this Aunt May for so many movies, and then to watch her die from the Green Goblin's hand, the person she was advocating for too. It wasn't just any other villain. It was the one that she had gotten to know and she had gotten too close to. It was really her choice, you know. And I mean, but it was enough of Peter's responsibility too that he can feel completely responsible. But, you know, also looking at it as an adult, I'm like, she put herself in a pretty dangerous situation.
Yeah.
So
was it really necessary for her to even be there?
I mean, she's the one that talked Peter into trying to save these people,
Yeah.
and then her even being there. I mean, she was just offering water to people. I mean, there was no need for her to be there. He sent MJ away.
Yeah.
He didn't need her there. And she could have, you know, recognized that danger and kept herself safer. But there's just, and then Peter's getting shot at and when they wanted to arrest him right after his aunt dies. So he immediately gets chased away from the scene and goes and hides on the roof, you know. And I found that just so tragic.
I think one thing that was really impactful for me was like Peter working with Norman to fix Doc Ock's little controller thing, because Spider-Man 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time, and they make it very clear in that movie, you know, the only reason why he's evil right now is because his little chip that is supposed to control the arms got messed up. So like seeing them,
like the arms seem to be like alive.
Yeah.
And so like they're in control and they're the
Yeah.
ones that are evil.
Yeah.
Not the actual human.
Right.
Okay.
And so like when he puts in when he replaces the whole controller thing, and you see like Doc Ock's whole demeanor change, like it's similar to like going from between Norman and the Goblin. It's kind of like, well, that's him again. Like he has been enslaved by these arms.
So having that freedom and that control back was just everything.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing that moment before Aunt May died was really important.
Yeah.
Because if there hadn't been that payoff of this is why he chose this path, you would have just been really upset that he didn't listen to Doctor Strange and it ended up killing Aunt May.
Mm-hmm.
But instead you're like, he picked saving this random villain that he just met, and he ended up sacrificing his aunt for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody who, the only family he has left, who he loves so deeply. But he also, everybody was pretty under control except the Green Goblin, and he hadn't met the Green Goblin before. So that's probably why he didn't know what he was doing was so incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
But just out of caution, don't take mortals to your house with 5 villains. So that was such a beautiful moment. And then he's on the roof, and just, I love the shot of MJ and Ned holding him. And I just love that he did have somebody to hold him.